Pat Finn, the beloved actor best known for playing Bill Norwood on ABC's hit sitcom, The Middle, has died at age 60 after a private battle with cancer. On December 23, 2025, the veteran comedic actor passed away at his Los Angeles home, surrounded by his wife Donna and their 2 children. He'd been fighting bladder cancer for several years, going into remission in 2022 before the disease tragically returned and spread throughout his body. If you watched The Middle between 2010 and 2018, you knew Pat Finn. He was Bill Norwood, a friendly neighbor who appeared in dozens of episodes across 8 seasons. But Pat's career went far beyond that one role. He appeared in some of the biggest sitcoms in television history: Seinfeld, Friends, Murphy Brown, Third Rock from the Sun. But here's what makes Pat Finn's story so remarkable and so tragic. While millions knew his face and laughed at his performances, almost nobody knew the man behind the characters. They didn't know about his decades-long friendship with Chris Farley. They didn't know about his 35-year marriage. They didn't know he was quietly fighting for his life while still making audiences laugh. This is the full story of Pat Finn, the actor you definitely saw but never really knew. Patrick Cassidy Finn was born on July 31, 1965, in Evanston, Illinois, just outside Chicago. He grew up in the Chicago area and developed a passion for comedy and performance early in his life. In 1987, Pat enrolled at Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was there, on the rugby field, that he met someone who would become one of his closest friends and one of comedy's biggest legends, Chris Farley. Yes, that Chris Farley, the future Saturday Night Live star, the man who would create iconic characters like Matt Foley, the motivational speaker living in a van down by the river. But in 1987, Chris was just another college kid playing rugby and dreaming of making people laugh. Pat and Chris became inseparable. After graduating from Marquette, they made a decision that would change both their lives. They moved to Chicago together, became roommates, and both auditioned for the legendary Second City comedy troupe. For those who don't know, Second City isn't just any comedy club. It's the training ground that produced John Belushi, Bill Murray, Tina Fey, Stephen Colbert, and countless other comedy legends. Getting accepted into Second City is incredibly difficult, but both Pat and Chris made it. This is where Pat Finn learned his craft. While Chris Farley was developing his explosive physical comedy style that would make him famous, Pat was mastering something different: the art of making every character feel like a real person, someone you might actually know, someone genuine. That skill would become Pat's signature in Hollywood. In the early 1990s, Pat Finn made the move every comedian dreams of and most fear. He went to Los Angeles to pursue a career in television. And unlike so many actors who struggled for years waiting tables and going to endless failed auditions, Pat started booking roles almost immediately. His first major break came with Seinfeld, arguably the most competitive casting environment in television history. Pat played Joe Mayo, and he held his own in scenes with Jerry Seinfeld, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Jason Alexander, and Michael Richards. That's no small feat. From there, the roles kept coming. Pat played Dan Coleman on The George Wendt Show. He appeared as Phil Jr. on Murphy Brown, one of the most acclaimed sitcoms of the 90s. He had recurring roles on Third Rock from the Sun, Ed, and even Friends. What made Pat Finn so valuable to casting directors was his versatility and reliability. He could play the neighbor, the coworker, the friend, the husband, and he made every single character memorable without stealing scenes from the leads. He was a consummate professional, the kind of actor every showrunner wants on their set. But his biggest role, the one that would define his career and introduce him to a whole new generation of viewers, came in 2010. For 8 years, Pat Finn appeared on The Middle as Bill Norwood, bringing warmth and authenticity to a sitcom that celebrated regular working-class American families. Millions watched him every week. But what viewers didn't know, what almost nobody knew, was that during those years, and in the years that followed, Pat Finn was fighting a silent battle that would ultimately take his life. A battle with cancer that he kept almost completely private, even as he continued showing up to work and making America laugh. Let me tell you about the middle years and what was happening behind the scenes. When The Middle premiered on a BC in September 2009, it brought something refreshing to television. A sitcom about a regular family in Indiana, struggling with real problems, living paycheck to paycheck, and finding humor in everyday life. The show starred Patricia Heaton and Neil Flynn as Frankie and Mike Heck, parents of 3 kids trying to survive in the middle of America. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't set in New York or Los Angeles. It was real. Pat Finn joined the cast in 2010 as Bill Norwood, and for the next 8 seasons through 2018, he became a beloved part of the show's fabric. Bill Norwood wasn't a punchline or a caricature. He was a neighbor, a friend, a regular guy. And in Pat's hands, that became something special. The show ran for 9 seasons total, ending in 2018 with 215 episodes. Pat appeared in dozens of those episodes, creating moments that felt so authentic that audiences forgot they were watching actors performing scripted material. But what fans watching at home didn't realize was that at some point during or after his time on The Middle, Pat Finn received devastating news. He had been diagnosed with bladder cancer. According to reports, Pat fought his cancer diagnosis privately. He didn't make public announcements. He didn't do awareness campaigns or fundraising events. That wasn't his style. He simply fought quietly and with dignity while continuing to work and support his family. In 2022, there was hope. Pat went into remission. The cancer was gone. He had beaten it. But cancer, tragically, often comes back. And for Pat Finn, it did. The disease returned and metastasized, spreading throughout his body. This time, there would be no remission. On Tuesday morning, December 23, 2025, just 2 days before Christmas, Pat Finn passed away at his home in Los Angeles. He was 60 years old. His wife Donna, whom he married in 1990, was by his side. So were their 2 children. After 35 years of marriage and a lifetime of making people laugh, Pat died surrounded by love. When news of his death broke, friends and colleagues shared tributes online. Comedian Jeff Dye, who had become close with Pat, wrote a particularly moving message. "I don't like to be the guy who posts pics with celebrities that pass. But this guy wasn't just a celebrity to me. He was a friend. One of the best dudes I knew with a perfect sense of humor. I love you, Pat Finn, and I'll see you again in the after. We can sing together and shake our heads about all the meanness in the used to be." That last line, all the meanness in the used to be, captures something essential about who Pat Finn was. In an industry often defined by ego, competition, and cruelty, Pat represented something different: kindness, authenticity, humanity. Pat Finn never became a household name. He never hosted Saturday Night Live. He never had his own sitcom or won an Emmy. He never trended on Twitter or went viral on TikTok. But measure success differently for a moment. 35 years married to the same woman. 2 children who loved him. Decades of friendship with comedy legends like Chris Farley. Hundreds of episodes of television that made millions of people laugh. Colleagues who called him one of the best people they knew. Pat Finn spent 8 years on The Middle, playing a regular guy, and that's exactly what he was in real life. A regular guy who happened to be extraordinarily talented, extraordinarily kind, and extraordinarily dedicated to his craft and his family. He showed up, day after day, year after year. Even when he was fighting cancer, even when his body was failing him, he kept working, kept making people laugh, kept being there for the people who mattered. In a world obsessed with fame, followers, and viral moments, Pat Finn lived a different kind of successful life. He built meaningful relationships. He created art that brought joy to millions. He stayed married for 35 years. He raised a family. He remained humble and kind, even as he worked alongside some of the biggest names in comedy. Pat Finn died on December 23, 2025, at age 60, after a private battle with cancer. He is survived by his wife Donna and their 2 children. If you watched The Middle, Seinfeld, Friends, or any of the dozens of other shows he appeared in, you laughed because of Pat Finn. You just might not have known his name. Now you do. Rest in peace, Pat. You showed us what it really means to live well.